Hi everyone, it's Kathie. Thanks so much for joining me. I have a new project to share with you. I'll be featuring the January 2018 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and I believe it is alternate project number 4, and I'll be sharing with you 2 more cards today. All right, we're going to get started, and I have VersaFine Black Onyx ink, but you can use any black ink you have. Real Red, Rich Raspberry, Flirty Flamingo, and the basic black Stampin' Write marker. The heart piece here I traced out using this vellum piece and then just hand cut it out. The clouds, I used this punch to create those, and I'll have that listed below. And then the stripe pieces are the card bases from the kit, and I'll have the measurements also listed below. And then the blue panel, I believe, is Dapper Denim. All right, starting off with those stripe pieces, we're going to stick those 2 together, and then we'll stick it onto the blue panel. So really easy background or layout. Okay, so we'll just adhere that and get that all put together. And then moving on to the clouds. I want my clouds to be a little narrow, so I'm just kind of tracing out some lower cloud detail there, and then we'll just remove the excess. And then now, once that's all done, we're going to move on to the heart. All right, onto the heart piece. Just going to sketch out a heart shape at the top of it, and basically it's 3/4 up from that heart piece for the smaller heart, and then 3/4 on the sides to get the proper shape. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So there's 3/4 from the bottom of the long heart, and then from the shorter end of that heart, 3/4 way up to create those sides. So now we're going to color in the heart, and we're just going to add some detail now using the stamp with the cluster. We're just going to stamp around it with Rich Raspberry and Flirty Flamingo. And I do sketch back in the detail of that heart quickly. And then we're just going to color it in with a small dauber with Rich Raspberry. So you want the sides of your heart there to be a little darker, and then leave some highlights on the inside of the heart. That way it gives it some depth. And again, you'll just resketch in those or redraw in those lines for the heart. And then this part here is fiddly. What we're going to do is we're going to create our own little string. So we're going to make a hot air balloon. So we'll have a center and then 2 sides, and they are quite thin, but if you do find it a little hard, then grab some twine and you can do the same thing, but I don't have super thin twine. And then these little long pieces, we're going to color it in with the basic black Stampin' Write marker. All right, we're going to create the bottom part for the hot air balloon, and I'm going to use this envelope with the cluster. And I didn't want that solid part to come out, so I'm just tracing it with Pacific Point along the edges there, and then I'll just create the lines for that solid section. So we have a envelope that doesn't have that filled in section, because I want the cluster of hearts to come out of the envelope. And this part here, I don't know, I used the wrong mask because I had that part there filled, but nonetheless, we're just going to do a quick stamp above it, and then I put the proper mask on, and then we'll stamp again a few times with Real Red so that the hearts are coming out of the envelope. And I think that looks really nice. And now we're going to just do some quick coloring on that envelope using Soft Sky. So we're just going to emphasize along the edges of the envelope so that it has some depth. All right, and then we're going to hand cut out the piece. and just take a quick look of what it looks like at the back side. And it looks like it's a bit too high. And we're just going to remove just a bit more just to flatten out that peak. And then we'll just glue it together. And I finally picked up these little bottles with the fine tip. So I filled out whatever I had left of that glue that I use. And any place or spots on that cluster that looks a bit bare, I did hand draw in a few little hearts. And the clouds, whatever I had left on my dauber, I just sponged around it. And then I'll just glue down the cloud pieces. And the hot air balloon piece, I'm putting dimensionals on the back just to raise that. And then I did stamp out the Happy Valentine's Day sentiment from the kit, and then just fussy cut out each piece, and I'm foam taping that on the right side edge. So that's the card. I did put it on a top folding card base. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and we're going to jump right into the second card. All right, we're going to start off with Pacific Point, and I have a piece of white cardstock which measures 3 1/8 across, and we're going to stamp a cluster of envelopes across the bottom of the panel. And I did have some masked piece that I created and any bits that I could find. So I'm going to mask as I stamp across the bottom so that I can have the envelopes overlapping each other. And then once we're done the stamping, we're going to do a little bit of easy coloring. All right, we're going to start off with Soft Sky, and we're just going to lay down a light layer of color. And then we're just going to emphasize along the edges and under the flap of the envelope, and then just a little bit of darker shading, but leave some highlights. And that way, the envelope looks a bit dimensional. All right, and then we're going to jump into Pink Pirouette, Stamp and Write marker, and we'll just do a light shading on another envelope. And to get the darker highlights, I did bring in Blushing Bride. All right, and now we're just going to mask off the top row of those envelopes, and we're going to stamp with Pumpkin Pie. So I'm using the 2 heart stamp. We're going to stamp 2 of the hearts together and then stamp all the way down. And then we'll just flip it over so we can finish off the bottom part of the arm there. And then we'll stamp a shorter arm. So the same action, stamp them together in a slight angle and then go all the way down. And now we're going to add the detail for the paws using the basic black marker. So we'll just draw in those black areas and along with the slightly upside down heart. Now the 2 lettering words, we'll just cover that up in a second. And after we add the details for the fur, so just add little squiggly lines, doesn't have to be perfect. And then here's the Pumpkin Pie Stamp and Write marker where I'm just covering up little parts of the white lettering. And also it's going to add just a little bit of highlighting too. Now I did fussy cut out the piece, and I'm going to stick down this stripe piece that I had left over on the bottom of the white panel with a scallop bottom. And for the vellum piece here, I'm stamping the Be Mine sentiment on it, and I'm going to clear emboss that because I did wait for the first one to dry, but it didn't, and I ended up smearing it. So the only way to get it to not smear is to emboss that. And with Real Red and the small dauber, I'm just swiping across the piece, and that way it'll give it just a little bit of detail. All right, and then once we're done that, I do hit it with the heat gun quickly, and then I put 3 glue dots on the back of that piece on the right side. And I did already stick down the paws with some dimensionals. So I did tuck that heart right behind that first little paw. Now the The stripe panel there, I just cut it down so that I had a 1/4 inch border, and then I left the bottom so that I could cut out a scallop edge with my scissors, or you can just cut straight across, whatever way is easier for you. All right, now that this piece is ready, I have 30 flamingo panel, which measures 4 inches across by 5.5. And I did center it onto the top folding card base. And then I stuck down the main piece onto the 30 flamingo panel. Here's a couple of stills of the finished card. The envelopes looked a little bit too light, so I did hit it with the watercolor pencils just to darken it up a little bit. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye for now.